Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining me and thank you for your continued support. Right, I've got to concentrate because I'm listening to the radio in the car this morning and they played Breathless by the Cause, which I haven't heard in ages, years I don't think. So that's now rolling around in my mind. So I've got to concentrate on what I'm doing. I won't burst into song spontaneously because you don't deserve that. But anyway, so I've got to focus on what I'm trying to talk about. So today I'm going to be talking about a document which the Canary, which is a website which I've used a few times, and I'm sure you've seen the videos of them. They did a Freedom of Information request on a certain document that is used in the Universal Credit assessment and things like this. And it's very interesting reading for a start because there does seem to be a few errors in it, and so I'm hoping that you guys will be able to read it. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description below. I can't unfortunately add it as a separate document, but it is within this article. So if you go on to the article, you can then scroll through this document so that you can read it for yourselves. But let's take a look at it. I'll show you what I mean. Right, DWP internal documents show Labour assurances on universal credit cuts are worthless. Now this document does have a few medical terms in it which I'm going to do my best to say properly, but unfortunately I've practiced them, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to get them all right, so please do bear with me. Department of Work and Pensions training materials for universal credit assessors released to the Canary via a Freedom of Information request has thrown cold water over DWP Minister Stephen Timms' tepid assurances on the universal credit bill's impact for people living with fluctuating conditions. Now, if you remember back when they were debating the Green Paper, they were talking about fluctuating conditions, and there is still a little bit of ambiguity about whether these conditions will be included within the severe criteria, which is something which the government are putting in place. So this goes towards that, or at least this is the document that a lot of assessors will use apparently for this. This is because the key resource healthcare professionals conducting the work capability assessment use to learn about chronic illness, which is ME, I'm not even going to say it because I'm probably going to get it wrong, is riddled with glaring factual inaccuracies, conflicting information and alarming psychologizing statements, playing up rhetoric around false illness beliefs. However, the controversial and shoddy training only makes sense when you learn who pulled it together and which notorious organisation inputted into its production. The DWP Work Capability Assessment Training document on ME buys into bogus and dangerous smears that a prominent psychology lobby of clinicians have weaponized against patterns for decades. You can read the full document below, and this is the full document. It's in the article. You can scroll through it to get all of the information you want to see. As I said, unfortunately I can't make it a separate document, but you can read it on here at your leisure. Specifically, the training teaches assessors that patients acknowledging the psychological basis of their condition is a poor prognostic feature. In other words, it paints them as holding false illness beliefs, a biosociological concept that cracks the door open to think yourself better types of therapies. This junk science theory posits that it's patients' own misguided beliefs about the physical cause of their ME that's preventing recovery. Needless to say, the disgusting idea has therefore been a central pillar of the disease's psychologization for many years. The controversial claim in question comes specifically from a DWP training document titled Overview of ME Chronic Fatigue Syndrome. To start, however, it would be remiss not to acknowledge that the document does have its merits. Large parts of it look to be lifted from the up-to-date National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, or NICE guidelines. The version history at the start of the publication shows that it has been revised multiple times, and one update coincides with the NICE guidelines change. Nevertheless, the training itself actually conflicts with the NICE guidelines in a number of places, and there's an obvious reason for why this is the case. Notably, it revolves around another source the document used, and it appears to be an enormously controversial one at that. This is the British Association of Clinicians in ME, CFS, BACME. As I've previously highlighted for the Canary, the organisation exists to underpin ME clinics and their clinicians operating across the UK. In January 2021, it registered as a charity. Currently, the non-profit has around 200 professional members who pay yearly fees. It regularly hosts webinars and conferences for these members to network and exchange knowledge. However, it has a contentious history, fomenting the psychologization of the disease. I wrote before how it was the brainchild of notorious members of a lobby of medical professionals hell-bent on psychologizing the chronic systematic disease. Members of the ME community sometimes refer to them as biopsychological or psych lobby. You can read more about the checkered history here. There's a link there that you can go to. Crucially, the organisation continues to promote psychosomatic treatments discredited in the NICE guidelines. If that weren't bad enough, healthcare teams in hospitals and clinics still refer to this guidance documents, and this has been actively harming patients. It's likely BACME's inclusion in the document that undermines the better information derived from the NICE guidelines, and the training dedicates its whole section to its problematic therapy. As a result, the training in this kind of irreconcilable mess you might expect from an aggregation of conflicting approaches. In one part, it tempers against the idea of abnormal illness beliefs, yet in another, it leans into the discredited psychologizing hypothesis that there's other dubious points on symptoms, mental health, and a notable absence of mention on common comorbidities. Right, so you can read the whole article in the link below, and also you can read in that article the actual training information that they get. Now that was done in 2023, so whether it's going to be updated for the PIP review, I don't know. Hopefully it will be, but obviously if this information on ME is a little bit dubious in some ways, what other information do they actually use that could also be the same? Now I don't know enough about ME to make any kind of opinion on it, so but obviously there are people out there, you guys, who may know more about it than I do, and probably do know more about it than I do. So if you read this and you see any glaring errors or anything you think contradicts modern approaches to ME, then please do let me know down in the comment section, or you can email me if you want to talk about it privately. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, so this is obviously a bit of a worry, because it means that if they're still using these types of documents now and they're not going to update them, then obviously that means that there's going to be a lot of misinformation out there that the DWP are using to make these assessments. Now of course it's not really anything surprising. We know that they haven't been using up-to-date information for a little while, but it's interesting to actually see these documents and see where the glaring errors are. So anyway, let me know what you think down in the comment section. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Please do subscribe if you've got this far to help push the channel forward, and until the next time, I'll see you then.